Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your girl, the Mistress of Music, and here today with me is the Dawnchaser. What's up?
Hey, good to be back, Kim.
All right, it's nice to have you back in here. Everybody, you are jamming out to KSVR 91.7 FM Mount Vernon and KSVU 90.1 FM Hamilton Concrete. If you want to ask him any questions, feel free to call 360-416-7000. Let's get ready to turn it up, you guys. All right. Encourage all your friends to listen to KSVR by going to tunein.com and follow KSVR. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter as well. They're jamming, huh?
Oh, yeah. I recognize that opening
jamming,
synth sound there. I recognize that opening synth sound in the song. I used it in an old track of mine.
Turn it up in here. Further questions? Let me get back. Heather's listening. I bet. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna just kind of talk about it,
Yeah.
and then since I haven't had a chance to, and I don't want it to interfere with the recording, I'll just leave the question and you guide it with it.
Yeah, let's do it kind of like the last interview, just with a little more structure.
Okay. Ready to do this, man?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. What'd you think about that, man?
That's a pretty slamming little big room banger there. Bet you I've heard that more than a few times at a few gigs in the last couple of years.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about this album. Go ahead and tell everybody.
Well, this here, folks, is Mtis Suli. This is a recent release of mine, a little tune inspired by my travels and work in the Republic of Georgia. For those of you that have never heard of this, it's a little country just east of the Black Sea, formerly part of the Soviet Union, and now is its own thing. It's most notable for inventing wine and for being the birthplace of Joseph Stalin. But it also has, and this is where the song comes from, big epic mountains. And during my time there, I got to trek around in there, and I wanted to write a bit of music that tied a couple threads together between that nation and our little Skagit County here with our big epic mountains.
Awesome. I know that you sent me some pictures. Are we going to put those on the music?
We could throw them up on Facebook for sure, but you can find all of the photos from my time overseas on my Facebook page and on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else. I've been posting them for years, and I'm going to be going back as soon as I've got the money together.
I know, that's right. What is your favorite thing to do while you're there?
Taking the marshrutka from Tbilisi up north up to the Gergeti Monastery right at the foot of Mount Kazbek up near the Russian frontier. It's super remote up there, and there's really high peaks just all around, and there's practically nobody out there except for the villagers and this one hotel. So if you make friends with, some random tourists on the marshrutka, you all can go for a hike, and it's not too crowded, and you've got like 14th century monastery behind you and this giant 16,000 foot volcano right in front of you. And it's kind of like if you were hanging out around Mount Rainier but transported back, like 700 years into the past. It's a pretty magnificent place to go. And nothing beats going up there for the weekend and then coming back and getting a shawarma back in Tbilisi.
Oh, wow. You had me lost at like the third word, I think.
It's not a language for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
So let's go ahead and talk about the album edit.
Yeah, so the opening version of this is coming off of my upcoming album, Wilderness Therapy, and this is kind of a classic 2004 styled anthem trance tune with a lot of heavy bass and some big epic synth pads that came off of some of my vintage gear that I've been buying up over the last few years. So I've been working together some atmospheric and nature sounds with a big kind of epic dance sound. So let's say we jump in here and put on our parkas because it's going to be a little rainy and wet here.
Let's do it.
With this mountain soul we're about to become.
All right, here you go. Where was that?
Republic of Georgia.
Republic of Georgia?
Yeah. So we got all kinds of directions we can go for what to talk about, like what the name of the song means, what about the people, about the country. We can get into that a bit later.
Yeah.
Been to Armenia, Turkey. I almost got stranded in Turkey.
Wow.
What a nightmare that was.
I almost got stranded in Canada.
Oh. Well, there are worse places to be stranded. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah. I wondered vaguely if I'd get stuck in Canada coming back the last couple times I visited, but Canadians were super cool and I didn't have any problems getting back. Except that one time when I came back with booze that I bought in Canada, and then they detained me at the border and made me fill out customs declarations and stuff.
I took the wrong way on the roundabout.
Oops.
Yeah, that was it. That's all I did.
That up in Linden?
My sister lives out that way.
What?
My sister lives out that way.
Oh, cool. If we want to have something fun to talk about, we can discuss a bit of the lyrics and the meaning of the lyrics, because this is like no other language in the world. So I wanted to add some mystery and make the track harder to understand and make it more mysterious. Because Georgian is a language unto itself.
Okay. So,
We still got a couple minutes on it.
don't get offended if I word it wrong, okay?
Dude, I'm barely pronouncing the name correctly. I'm so rusty on my Georgian, it's embarrassing. Although, strangely enough, apparently I speak Georgian better than I do Swedish. I actually am
I
Swedish.
thought you were Swedish.
Yeah, so it's extra embarrassing. Yeah, we're in the big peak of the track right now, so yeah, we can leave it. We got like a minute and a half to go, so. This is the short version of it. It's about 4.5-ish, 4 minutes long, something like that. I tried to cut it short, but I also wanted the beginning to have kind of a splash with some beats and kind of progress up to this. I'm not really Spotify friendly for the most part. I like to lead people into the track rather than just dump it straight on them right off the bat. Spotify favors dumping everything right on you in the first 15 seconds.
Alright, so I'm gonna put you on blast next.
Okay.
Alright.
The next version's a little more in your face. That one's kind of a dubsteppy kind of chill step kind of track. So that one's a little more intense.
The next one is?
Yeah, and then the third one is more chilled out, kind of deep house like. I saw you have some deep house playlists, so it's kind of like that. And then the last version's straight up ambient and chill out. It's a good way to kind of wind down the rest of the night.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm gonna tear it up with my music.
Oh yeah. This song really sounds at its best when you play it outside. This track sounds totally at its best when you play it outside at a big festival, or kind of event. I've done that. So epic.
All right, Dave. It is time to be like a car with no brakes. Pull out all the info, all the 411.
We gotta go nuts here.
Yes, we gotta just go crazy with it. You're totally eccentric. I can't even say the word today. My tongue's tied. Eccentric, like I am. So, what in the world were you thinking when you made this?
Well, what I was thinking when I came back from the Republic of Georgia and had a little bit of time to kind of process my time over there is I got connected to this song crazy enough through the movie Borat. You remember when that came out back in 2006? You ever heard about Borat? Yagshamash, it's very nice. The Kazakh TV reporter. Report for great nation of Kazakhstan. You don't remember that movie?
No.
Oh man, well you missed out on some wacky weirdness. But that movie was about a Kazakh TV reporter, Kazakh I should say, with big quotes.
B-rated movie?
Yeah, I think it won a few awards here and there, but mostly it just scared people. But
oh, nice.
Yeah, fun movie, but it got me all interested back in 2006. Like, what is Kazakhstan? I've never heard of this place. So I got on Wikipedia, started looking that up, started looking up a bunch of places, and this one country that I settled on was Georgia. I'd never heard of it before. They don't talk about it in high school geography class. You only hear about it in the news when Russia invades it or when Russia's pushing its border further south there. So only when it's at war basically with Russia is when you hear about it. But
so what'd you do? Just take out the globe and spin it around and poke your finger on where you go, you land?
Not even. When I was in college, I got all interested in it. I researched everything I could about it. In 2010 and 2011, I started teaching myself the alphabet and teaching myself vocabulary just for the fun of it. And then when I graduated in late 2011 and was thinking about what I could do for work after college, I was like, I'll just Google and see if there's any teaching jobs over there just for S&Gs. And then lo and behold, the Georgian government had a program called Teach and Learn Georgia, and I was like, I'm in. I speak Georgian. I've got an EU passport because of Sweden, and I've got an English degree. I am set. So I started applying, and a month later, I was flying over and sitting in an airport in Ukraine thinking, I can't believe I'm going here. And so from that point on, I was completely immersed in the culture. I was living in a small village outside the capital. I was teaching little kids how to say, just living the dream when tourists ask them what's up. And I was traveling the country and seeing all these big mountains. And when I came back from all that, I thought, there are a lot of differences between our cultures, but there's also a lot of similarities. We're kind of a do-it-yourself, kind of independent sort of culture here in the Northwest. We've got a really strong, make your own, beer, make your own wine culture. We got some of the best wineries in the country here, and Georgia invented wine.
too.
Yeah, and Georgia invented wine 8,000 years ago. And they've got they have managed to keep their culture and their language pretty intact for hundreds of years, even though they've been invaded by every empire that has basically ever existed. And so there's a really strong connection there. And so I started writing down this melody, these big synth kind of chords, and I started writing a little duduk melody, which is that haunting woodwind kind of like wailing sound you hear throughout the background of the track. That's a woodwind instrument that comes out of that region. It's like a native instrument too there. And I combined it with acoustic guitars that you hear in a lot of the folk music from around here to kind of create this hybrid sound that was mountain music, but mountain music from two different sides of the globe. And then I sat down and I started writing these lyrics in English. And then I thought, doing it in English would be kind of cheap for a song like this. So I asked a friend of mine that I met on a little fixed route taxi in Marshrutka in Georgia. I asked her to help me translate them. And so we translated these lyrics into Georgian, and I asked her to record them for me when all was said and done. And so she got out her iPhone and she recorded them on her iPhone in her apartment all the way in Tbilisi. And so the lyrics translated into English, they're really hard to make sense of in the song because I've put a ton of effects on them to make them more mysterious. But the lyrics are the voice of a mountain spirit calling to you to come away from civilization, leave the noise and the dirt and the grime of the city behind and go into the mountains. And the lyrics directly translate mean, come away, my love. Together we can be free away in the ice and snow. And other lyrics are like, do you hear it? That's what that ges mis voice that you hear floating means. It means, do you hear it? And some of the other phrases are like, let's go. That's what that Savedit vocal means. It means let's go, because it's supposed to be kind of a brave and forward sort of sound mixed in with this mysterious mountain spirit voice. And so that's sort of where we're at, is the combination of east and west into this sound that synergizes the two and creates mountain music, modern and ancient.
Be like that spirit, and let's do this. Okay, here you go, guys. This is the Gone Campin' edit.
And this mix is even heavier. The original is straight up anthem trance, and for this next one, I wanted to combine the other sounds of the Northwest for it. This is a dubstep and electro house and chill step sort of mix, so buckle up.
All right, guys. So it's like the Indians in a powwow chanting to the spirits.
More or less. The Georgians are Orthodox Christian, so they don't have they don't have much of those myths left except in some history books. But my other music artist alias, that one's actually named after one of their folk and mythic characters, Amirani. Yeah, the original title of this song was supposed to be Mikin Vatsveri, which was the traditional name of the mountain that... Yeah. That's the traditional name of Mount Kazbek, where this monastery that's in the cover art is from. But I decided to rename it Mtis Suli, which means mountain soul, because I wanted the connection to be more spiritual than physical.
So is that for the next one?
The next one's the Alpenglow mix, and that one's all deep housey.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's more straight up kind of dubstep feel. I wanted to make this one a little more modern and for the newer generation of ravers, with a bit of that classic sound mixed in. I don't post to the KSVR page. They got after me about that.
Why?
I guess they saw it as a conflict of interest because I work for the radio station doing something unrelated to music. So, I rely on other people like you and other DJs to post about that. But the interviews and stuff go up on the YouTube channel, etc., so that folks can tune in later.
We should have done Facebook Live.
Nah, this time around it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're winding it down now on this track.
I'm gonna scratch my throat.
Hey.
All right, Dave. Spill it. Let's get ready for the next one. I want to know.
Well, the next one I actually got the idea from a YouTube channel that I watch fairly regularly. I'm a big fan of ASMR, like relaxation, like whispered and spoken voiceover, like guided imagery relaxation stuff. And this one video that I saw was of a Russian woman visiting the Yosemite Valley down in California. And she was talking about the red glow of the rocks and the mountains at sunset while she was on vacation there. And so I commented on that. I told her that there's a name for that kind of red glow that the rocks and the ice take on when the sun is setting. It's called alpenglow, and it was super chilled out. And not too long after I commented that and told her about that, I took a friend of mine up into the mountains, a Dutch friend of mine. He'd never been to this part of the U.S. before, and we were up there overlooking the Ross Dam, Diablo Lake kind of area, and we heard this alarm sound, I think it was, from Ross Dam, echoing out over the mountains. It was just a long, beeping kind of sound. It was a real simple sound, just a sine wave just echoing off the mountains and the water. And there was something kind of epic and dramatic about it, with these clouds kind of whispering about and the snow on the ground and it just being really quiet out there. And so I thought I should start writing some tracks that use that sound and try to capture that mood of the glow of the mountains and the mysterious sound from the dam. And so I started writing these kinds of deep, progressive, kind of house almost like trance tunes that kind of mix the big anthem kind of sound with this chilled out and kind of grooving, melodic, soothing kind of sound. And so this next mix and a series of mixes with this kind of title came out of it.
So when you're making this music, I'm curious, what is it exactly that gets you into this kind of thing?
It's the spirit of adventure that really kind of informs the music. That feeling of needing to escape civilization and get out there into the wild and really experience life at its fullest, not through a screen and not through the words of someone else, but actually there in the moment. No devices, no nothing. So I try to capture those feelings, translate them into music, and hopefully a few folks will feel that when they hear it and feel motivated to go and do the same thing themselves. And if they take along a music player or their phone and listen to those tunes while they're out on the trail or on the road, all the better.
I call doing without those things a vacation.
Right? We're so addicted to our devices these days.
I
Help
know.
me.
I'm guilty as charged. I want to go ahead and play this next one. Are you ready for it? Or
Let's groove.
all right, you guys, let's go ahead. This is the Alpine Glow edit. So I feel like we're missing something I was supposed to mention.
Talking about the studio gear and what all goes into making these tracks.
Yes.
Because some of the people that tune in are music producers, and so they're curious about what gear goes in there. Or even eyelash, under your left eye. Your left eye.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I notice those things and they drive me crazy.
Studio gear?
Yes, studio gear, software, production stuff.
Are you an affiliate for this stuff?
No.
Okay.
Nope. No commercial anything. I just happen to have a bunch of gear that I like using. Watch out, the bass gets fairly intense in this track, so you want to watch the levels on it.
it in.
Okay. I want to find out if Peloton, the company that sells those stationary bikes that you can like bike to music and do like online stuff with. I want to submit some of my music to them and see if they'll pick any of it up, because I write music for a lot of the stuff would be good for exercise and all that.
Yeah,
so,
for like the ones like the chicks that do the bicycle spinning.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, like the Gone Camping edit or the album version would be totally solid for that. This would be kind of good for like an art gallery sort of. And I'm doing a version of Cascade Highway in this kind of style. And that one's like that. I'm really proud of that version. It's super like grooving and epic and chilled out, if that can be a thing. You might just want to just leave the levels there. It's not going to get too much louder throughout the rest of the track.
For the equipment for when you're making it, or the equipment for...
Yeah, for when I'm writing the music.
Okay. Even maybe for like a Halloween.
Right? I've got some...
of the different instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got acoustic instruments mixed in with all the synthesized stuff.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Dave, tell me, what type of equipment do you use while producing your music?
So much frickin' stuff. Oh man. So my main workstation, like my digital audio workstation that I like recorded all together in, that's FL Studio 20, and a new update just came out, so I gotta go and install that here super quick. But I've got 4 different hardware synthesizers that I use for like all the basses, pretty much all of those big like pads and like atmospheric sounds, and all of the main like leads and synth sounds. Those all come off of a Roland JP8080. That one's kind of my personal favorite, and so you'll hear it in a lot of the big kind of epic synths that you hear in these tracks, especially the album edit. Like a JP8080 was the foundation of the big synth sound there. I've got a Virus TI2 that pulls like workhorse duty on almost everything else, because it's great for basses, leads, pads, effects, like literally everything. I've been playing around with a bunch of patches in it for a couple new tunes that I'm wrapping up right now, today actually. And I've got a Waldorf Blofeld, which is a really good alternative to the Waldorf Q and the Waldorf XT, which I would really like, but an XT costs like $700 minimum, and a Q costs like $2,800 minimum. So can't afford that. But the Blofeld has more, can play more notes at once than either one of those, and has a lot more effects and a lot more modulation options, which makes it a really good option for folks that are getting started in hardware and want something flexible and good for a lot of different genres. And I also have, although I don't use it quite as much, but you can hear it in the album edit of this track, Moog Slim Fatty, It's the only real analog synth I've got, and it's really good for fat, mid-rangey kinds of sounds and for basses. But it's also really unstable with its tuning because it's pure analog, so the actual circuitry of it changes the tone of the instrument as the temperature changes in the hardware. So it starts out cold and it starts out like super sharp, and then it has to like take an hour to get properly warmed up so it stays in tune. So it's a bit tricky to work with, but when I get it in tune, it sounds really nice. And all of that together with some software synthesizers like Omnisphere help kind of keep the sound grounded and modern while still using all of these kinds of vintage elements to create a sound that crosses a lot of different generational kinds of qualities.
Okay. Tell everybody where they can find your music.
So all of my music is currently available on all digital platforms, your Apple Music, your Pandora, your Tidal, your Spotify, I think Deezer, if they're still around, Amazon Music. I've got a Bandcamp page set up, and if you want to go and get like lossless quality copies of all of my releases, you can get them there. Beatport, Juno Download, Spotify is where you can go to stream it all and get everything the most easily, and I've got a whole lot of playlists there too, so if you need a workout playlist, I've got one for cardio, I've got another one for actual weight training, I've got like mountain hiking and mountain climbing ones, so for those of you with premium accounts, you can go and spin class. Like if you go somewhere without an internet connection, if you have a premium account, you can download the tracks off these playlists onto your phone and listen to them while you're out and about. You could do the same thing with my albums, which is honestly, that's the place to really listen to my music, like inside in a club. The music doesn't make as much sense there. And a buddy of mine, my Dutch friend that I took up to the mountains, he discovered that the fun way when I was driving him up there. And I played him a couple of my tracks alongside some classics by artists that we both know from Germany and the Netherlands. And suddenly there, as we were driving up Highway 20 up into the mountains with all this mist kind of blowing around Snowfield Peak and Davis Peak, is like, dude, I totally get you now. I get this sound you're making, and I get this music. I get this adventure trance thing you're doing. It makes sense to me now. And that's really where the music belongs. Like the playlists that I've got, my own albums and singles, like if you listen to it inside, it's good enough as it is, for the genre that it is, but it really clicks and makes sense musically when you're outside, like in the wild. So if you live in the Northwest, if you live in like Central California near the Sierras, if you live near the Rockies or the Caucasus or the Alps, put on my music there. Go out into the hills, go out into the forest and into the mountains. It will all make perfect sense then. And actually, the first time that I played the final version of Mtis Suli live was at the Art in the Park Festival that the Art Council of Cedar Woolley put on this past summer. Yeah, I ran some of the sound for their stage, and they gave me like a closing slot at that just to be nice and all. So I went up and played a few of these originals, including the album out of this track. And the clouds were starting to blow in over Lyman Hill up in the north. And it was starting to get a little windy, but it was super like epic and mysterious out, and it wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. And I was standing up there playing this track, and I don't usually get this from my own music because I've been working on it for super long, and it's kind of weird getting this experience from like your own music. But I actually got shivers down my spine when those big synth pads started blasting out over this PA system across Riverfront Park, playing out towards the clouds and the mountain and all that. And so that's when I knew that this is where the music makes sense. And so I'm going to be DJing at a few outdoor parties this summer. And so if you want to hear my music live and really like see and feel and hear the music the way it's meant to be heard, go to my Facebook page, like keep an eye on events that I post there, because I'll be doing some of my own events as well as playing at other people's events. Catch me at those outdoor ones, and then you will get it.
And also, you guys, I'm going to have it posted on my music page as well, so make sure you go there and check it out too.
Yep, you can find all of my music, photos, adventures, the whole works on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I've got a channel for the music, and I've also got a channel for production tips and techniques. So if any of you are looking to get hardware synths or need some tips on using software to write trance like this, you can check it all out there. And you can find me as Dawnchaser on Facebook, Dawnchaser the Adventurer on Instagram, DJ Dawnchaser on Twitter, and Dawnchaser on Spotify. And I think an appropriate way to wind down this little chat here would be with the chill out version of this song. And between you and me, this version is the version that is the most appropriately tied to the actual Gargeti Monastery and the village at the foot of Mount Kazbek in Georgia. This, I feel like, is the version that most fits that particular location at the time when I got the inspiration to write it.
That's really cool. So you know what? We're going to wind it down for a minute, and then I'm going to crank it all the way back up.
Oh, yeah. Let's hit them hard.
All right, you
after
guys,
we chill them out.
Let's chill out for just a second, and then crank it right back up.
All right. I will see you all later.